Hi everyone, Ronald Ingram here, your rebel banker futurist, broadcasting live simultaneously on YouTube and X from the Nevada high desert looking down on the Luxor pyramid. Welcome everyone. I'm not going to recap all the good news there today. There's a ton. Sea change is definitely happening right now. We have the big news, of course. Warsh, the first crypto chairman, you could say, 30 crypto in his wallet, officially taking office today. So that is a sea change for crypto. And one thing that I really think is significant to this that I will say, one nuance that is really pivotal is that a lot of people don't realize that the Federal Reserve is not directing US monetary policy at all. US monetary policy, and it's not the White House, it's not the Federal Reserve. So then who is it? Well, I don't think that well known that it's an organization out of Basel, Switzerland called BIS.org. They have a public website. You can look it up, copy the whole thing, look at their org chart, look at their org structure. That's the organization that dictates monetary policy. And when I say dictate, I mean direct, I mean advise, I mean guide. So no official rule-making power or overt power, but they're the ones that bankers listen to from the Federal Reserve on down, and not just in the US, of course, but in every developed nation in the world, aside from the communist countries, follows the path set by the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. So now, although we don't have sovereignty and control over that, at least we really have we have a seat, I think, with a chairman that is, I think, aligned with American sovereignty first. So that is why this is a bigger deal than I think people even realize. It's not just that he understands crypto, that he gets crypto. It's the structure of the global monetary system that is at play here. So very, very significant. I want people to be aware of that. But before we go into the real conversation tonight, I want to address something that popped up today, a blast from the last month, actually. There's this idea floating around that if you don't have a heavily stacked public GitHub, the work isn't serious. That years of prep, here's a quote, years of prep means a stacked GitHub or it's a nothing burger. I've heard variations of this before. Let me be direct. I didn't build my career farming public commits. I built and ran real financial infrastructure. I was deep in mobile banking when most banks were still figuring out websites. I worked on merchant acquiring at a global scale. I helped shape what became the Neobank movement, the ones that crossed into real usage, not just hype. And yes, I even built one of the earliest AI agents conversational agent back in 2004. It's still running on a hosted server somewhere, and on my own server, and it revealed things to me that are only now becoming relevant again with agentic systems. So I don't put everything on GitHub because I wasn't collaborating with randos on the internet. I was solving hard problems with real capital, real users, and real regulatory environments. Version control matters to me, but I have never needed GitHub for that, and public performance coding, that's not my jam. right now, the real bottleneck, the most important work that we're doing at the moment, these last hours and days, it isn't sexy code drops. It's something much harder and more valuable and actually gets real humans on board. We're spending serious time, hours every day, talking directly to people trying to buy SPOCK face to face in private groups internationally. Many of them are buying crypto for the first time. First wallet, first experience with self-custody, and the friction is real. The onboarding paths are broken in ways that are deeper than most people realize, and a far bigger problem than I ever expected. A good problem, though, in a sense that the demand is far stronger than we're even seeing in the price action so far. And so this is an actual throttle on growth right now. So solving this, even with smart workarounds for now, while we build the cleaner long-term rails, that's the highest priority that I have right now. Now I'm still doing many other things, that we're working and we're able to do many things at once, but that has been a far bigger issue than expected, and also an opportunity, as I mentioned. It shows just how I frankly am very excited. On the one hand, frustrated. On the other hand, very excited and amazed even to see the perseverance of folks that are struggling with their banks, struggling with wallets, facing this friction, and are persevering and putting in some cases, only a fraction of what they wanted to put in. Many cases, there seems to be a limit of $500 a week, we're hearing and I'm seeing. And I'll post a couple of screenshots redacted after this, but just you'll see. And I'm having dozens of these conversations, and people are genuinely grateful after I help them or after they figure it out. And who knows, these are the people that are calling me. Who knows who is trying to figure it out on their own and maybe abandons the process. So all of those, so it's amazing how determined people are to get on board with this project. Very exciting, actually. And also we're coming now into a cycle where people that have been struggling with this for over a week are now they're on a rolling $500 maximum per week, and they're hitting up now. Now it's past a week, so they're able to put more money in. That's probably why we saw the action up to 4 million today again. So also a few of the original folks I think that maybe bought just based on charts and haven't really spent the time to read the white paper. That's the only thing I can think of that would cause anybody to sell at this point before we're even getting started. And I've been picking up those shares, a lot of them myself, because I'm not selling. There's no other place that I can think of to put my money right now. So while we're building, I've been buying the dips, and I encourage others, my friends and family, to do so as well. This is not investment advice. This is my personal opinion, and this is what I am doing. So do what you will, do your own research. And the good news is that there is really strong demand. Also, we need to solve this before we get like this, just from word of mouth. All we're seeing right there, I've still spent $0 on marketing, and people asking all the time, will I pay them to pin and post, repost my work? That's not necessary. We've got more than enough people in this community right now to share with, and at the stage that we're at right now, we will have a professional marketing campaign, I went through the 5 stages, the 5 phases on my last live stream. So we'll get to that. That's about 3 phases from now, 3-4 weeks probably. Maybe 5 weeks, 3 to 5 weeks away before we do any real professional marketing. Just the word of mouth right now, and helping people find the best workarounds. I think I've got a solution. I'm not going to announce it yet. I'm not going to announce it tonight. Just doing some more testing, and we will share that with people as we try to find the most convenient way for them to get on board now. Now, the really exciting piece is that as I identify and document all of these issues that people are experiencing, I am doing what entrepreneurs do, what product development people, at least coming from a product development point of view, the user experience is everything. So I'm learning from all of these pain points and know exactly what to do. And no one has, frankly, it's exciting that no one has done this or figured this out yet. So when we figure this out, this will be the bridge. We will be the bridge from the early adopters to the mainstream. That goes right back to that chart. I haven't pulled it out for a while, but the tipping point, the VisiCalc moment, all of these things are pointing to this inflection point, this pivot point where all of a sudden crypto becomes real, becomes mainstream. I've been talking about it. You've been seeing everything that I've been saying play out in real time. The convergence that I've been talking about, you're seeing progress on that every day, not just from me, not just from our project, but from the world with that favorite memo that I like to share that came out on April 28th from the March 17th guidance from the SEC and the CFTC, from Kevin Warsh now being seated as the new crypto chairman of the Federal Reserve. That's what I'm calling him, crypto chairman. And the Clarity Act right around the corner. We have never seen this kind of momentum. And you can also tell by the pushback that there is some, the incumbents are worried. We've seen a lot of feverish resistance, and I think that that is part of the reason for the difficulties in people getting on board with crypto for the first time. That I think that banks are recognizing that they're seeing as funds flow out there's a risk that they're never coming back. And in fact, already I've seen stats that say that 87% of the people that move funds from once they get comfortable with crypto and they move funds to a crypto wallet, to a project like ours, they never come back. And I think that is going to, as I make the onboarding easier, as I make it easier for the early majority to cross what's called a chasm, this chasm that exists between early adopter adoption and the early majority adoption, that as we figure that out, cross that bridge, that is going to create a massive influx like we've never seen into all crypto. But in particular, people will be looking for the quality projects with real substance like ours. So and I'm speaking to this from experience. So just a final thing on that, we're building the on-ramp for the next wave. And I've seen several waves like this. History never repeats itself exactly, but the patterns repeat constantly. And I've seen this pattern before. I saw it with digital mobile banking. I saw one of the earliest. I was involved actually in banking. I've been involved in banking for a long time. I was involved with one of the earliest major bank digital initiatives, digital branch initiatives, and it was crazy. We had a very motivated CEO at the time, and would not consider delaying the scheduled rollout. And so we ran into a situation where the back office was completely unprepared for their first digital branch. This is the large, top 100, probably one of the top 100 banks in the world. And I was a regional champion for this initiative. And so I remember touring the headquarters and looking at all the back office staff and looking at their workstations, noticing that they each had two keyboards, 2 monitors, 2 of everything. And I said, why is that? And as it turned out that they hadn't had time and to integrate the core. No surprise that the core to this day in banking is a major weak spot. So you see AI companies like Anthropic, lauding their great success in getting embedded with one of the biggest core processors. I think that's fine. That doesn't worry me at all. I think that that's almost a step backwards, because the core has always been and is to this day a big issue for banks, a big bottleneck in terms of innovation and new digital products. Everything has to be integrated to the core, which at its core is just a ledger, right? And the whole innovation around crypto is a ledger called blockchain. And anyway, this bank, they launched anyway. Their marketing was slick, and but the implementation was not, because there was no integration on the back end. And so we literally had people that would come into branches and say, I want to make a deposit I want to open an account or make a deposit, or I'm excited about this internet banking thing. How do I get involved? And so we had envelopes, right? So they would take an envelope and they would take your cash and they would send envelopes to the headquarters and to make deposits and things like that. It was so ridiculous. But that was when people were recognizing that the internet was coming, and then wasn't very long after that, maybe a decade longer, and you had some of the real successful implementations where they built the project with the technology, with more of a technology focus, and that gave us ING Direct, which was tremendously successful rollout, profitable, and well, maybe not profitable because they were spending an awful lot on customer acquisition, but the volumes were there. They were opening accounts at unprecedented volumes, and digital banking really arrived with ING Direct, subsequently renamed to Voya, the one with those terrible condescending squirrel commercials. But that I've seen that wave. And then the next wave after that was merchant e-commerce infrastructure. And again, I was with a large bank at the time, and I was the champion of this initiative as well regionally. And this is not so much the champion, kind of like the troubleshooter would be a better description of the position in those days. And that was where you had merchants they were excited about selling their merchandise online, and there were very few options. And so that's it was such a bottleneck that I ended up leaving the bank, because the solution was just so obviously badly needed that I ended up leaving the bank, partnering with one of our best customers. He recruited me actually to help him sell refurbished computers and electronics online was the initial idea. But in doing that, he needed merchant acquiring, and that's how the relationship evolved. And then we tried to raise money for that. So I left the bank with their blessing, and because it was, my boss recognized that, that it was an opportunity of a lifetime, that, and he really encouraged me to, they said, you've got to take this is the opportunity for you. And it really set me off on my entrepreneurial accelerated. That was already in me, but that really that was the accelerant. And that was my first successful fintech enterprise. So what that enterprise was initially I was recruited by one of the customers to be the president of a company that sold these refurbished electronics and computers, huge margins, great, but it just wasn't going to scale. There's only so many refurbished computers and electronics around. That in the process, and the reason that I'd established this relationship in the first place was he was one of those customers that wanted to sell this stuff online. So his model up till then was sending out an email list, and the email list grew and grew and grew and grew. But the people actually had to come in to a retail location. They would line up on days where big new drop shipments arrived, and they would queue up, and you'd open the doors, and he would sell out at huge margins. That was so the e-commerce was basically marketing only. It was just email, and so obviously, he wanted to be able to take those orders online and ship the products. So I built that with a small team, very small team. And I'm talking less than a dozen people. And we grew that. So we were unsuccessful in really raising money, and because it wasn't scalable, but it was generating lots of cash anyway. When I built the engine, I said we should pivot because everybody wants this engine. And I remember this from my banking days. There was like a bottleneck of all these merchants nationwide that wanted to find a way to sell online, and there were only a couple of options at that point. PayPal wasn't a solution yet at that point. I don't even know if eBay existed yet. May have just been getting started. And anyway, that investors got that idea right away, and from the second we pivoted, I raised a lot of money, and we were off to the races. And we built automated onboarding processes so merchants could onboard themselves, and our team grew very slowly. Like we added, it'd be like one employee per 500 merchants, and then that would even scale and kept on. There was no real direct relationship between the number of employees and how many accounts we could service. We were doing billions and billions with less than 20 people. And then eventually we were acquired by Bambora, and there's acquisition after acquisition. And it became what is now the engine, the backbone for Worldline, a multi-billion-dollar, processing hundreds of billions of dollars in transactions at the point of sale and online. The online component is all based on the people and the processes and the systems that really didn't change very much from what I built there. And I moved on from there to the next wave. So the next wave after that was Neobanks. And that initially, like I said, Neobanks I envisioned more as being peer-to-peer lending, which was successful, has caught on. And it's in many different flavors. The microfinance version is the Green Bank, which became the founder of which received a Nobel Prize and became a global model that has been a great help to emerging and developing nations around the world, because it's when you help people because of pride of ownership, people it's better to lend money to somebody so that they can buy a business, buy a livestock in Bangladesh. That's where Grameen Bank was based. Yunus Muhammad, I believe, was the Nobel Prize winner that was the founder of this bank, Grameen Bank. And that was kind of the model behind peer-to-peer, but peer-to-peer, I want to do the same thing. And developed countries do it everywhere globally and still do. So that one hasn't even come close to achieving its full potential yet. And of course, Neobanks has come to mean something a little bit different, and it come to be even a smaller segment of what I envisioned, which was just the transaction side, which seems, just the mobile payment, mobile banking, basically your wallet. That's essentially what neobanks are, and usually offering a very limited subset of what banking services have. And except for SoFi in the US, which provides pretty well full service banking, and consequently has some of the best numbers in terms of revenue per customer. So neobanks, that's a curve, that's a wave that is still building. And then on top of all this, and this is the biggest wave, the biggest pattern that I've ever seen, I consider this to be the biggest opportunity of my life. And I've seen many great patterns, many products and businesses scale into the multi-billions of dollars. And I've never seen anything like this. And the way that we have framed everything and put all the pieces together, the agentic commerce plus quantum resilience plus real banking convergence with crypto and machine-to-machine agentic banking, we've never seen anything like this. This is the biggest wave yet. It's different. It's not another app. It's not another token narrative. POCK is not another token. This is a different pattern, a different thing altogether, in a much, much better way. You don't have to stress about having your timing being in and out in a day, like you do with meme coins like you've been experiencing with, like many people have experienced on Pump Fund. You miss that launch window and it's over. We've gone far beyond our launch window because this is a long-term project with a lot of long runway ahead of it. So we'll keep on building, we'll keep on working, and we'll work out the temporary kinks in this onboarding process, so that all the people that want to get money in right now, that they're not being sidelined, they can get in. And while that's happening, we are getting an even better solution that's going to make it more seamless than ever, especially for newbies, to be able to get online, to transact online, to be able to have access to all the things that super genius robo banker, private banker would enable you to do if you had one full-time in your pocket. So that's BROK. That's coming. That's the next big step. And part of what BROK is going to do is also facilitate the onboarding of future customers, so they don't have to go through the high barriers that are being experienced right now by people trying to get going. So yeah, we are moving 1,000 times. We're moving faster than companies 1,000 times our size right now, because we're not carrying their baggage. And so the reason I shared those stories with you is that I'm experienced with working with lean teams and have seen how an individual, a leader, and a small team can profoundly affect real world things like banking. It's happened before, and it's about to happen in a more profound way than we've ever seen before. the barriers have never been, the opportunity, the window has never been quite as opportune as it is right now with this convergence of all these tools that amplify my capabilities and other innovators and creators in their fields. So on the business side, so some of the other things that I haven't been doing that exclusively, okay? But I just wanted to address that. Because that was kind of wasn't on the roadmap, and I wasn't really on the roadmap for us to be at 4 million market cap this early either. So that's a really great thing. So it's really good to see this, how strong the demand is, and we'll make it easier and easier for those people to get on board. And then when the next wave of people come along, word's going to spread even that much more quickly, and this is really going to multiply and multiply and multiply. On the business side, I have also been deep in some legal work on the IP side. I won't say much more than that. No new patents coming out. No new patents really necessary at this point. They're all covered in the 5 patents, 2 of which have been in the last 60 days. All right. So, I mean, during this window, the last 45 days, that's another accomplishment. They filed a brand new, a new patent extending my NeoScore patent, the issued patent, to be able to do risk management for machines. And that has been leading to some very interesting conversations. This is very, very fresh, and I don't want to overly, it may not amount to anything, but I was engaged directly today with and recently with various government agencies, the SBA, that's the Small Business Administration for those that aren't in America that are listening, the NIST, which I've mentioned before. They're the ones that set the standards for banks and government agencies overall in terms of preparedness for Q-Day, quantum resilience, and all those types of things. And I've mentioned that I feel, need to be even more proactive in light of the accelerating pace that we're seeing with the singularity happening right now. So that's something that, so I've talked about them before. So having conversations with SBA, NIST, NASA's there, Department of Defense, the Department of Energy, DHS, conversations around grants and programs. I've also followed up on DARPA, SBIR pathways, and but this isn't for show. This is positioning serious infrastructure for serious environments. But that's none of that has to happen. So I don't want to overhype that at all. Those things take a long time sometimes, and it's desperately needed. So I'm glad that I was invited to discuss these topics, but I'm not, this isn't anything that is going to, I think, move the needle. But I mentioned it just in full transparency. The one that I think that is super important and relevant and would normally take a long time, but might be accelerating, is a home buyers program that I put together that is going over to the Senate Banking Committee, Tim Scott's office soon. So I think probably that could move, that probably just word of something substantive there might move the needle there. But early days, just sharing in full transparency. So if your scorecard is GitHub activity, I understand why this might look quiet to you, but if your scorecard is actual user problems being solved, actual product, real infrastructure being built, and positioning for the biggest transformation in finance and autonomous systems we've seen, then we're exactly where we need to be. And we are moving at a very, very rapid clip. We're not here to win the GitHub game. We're here to win the next era of money and self-sovereignty, of agency. If that resonates, stick around. If it doesn't, no hard feelings. You know, different games, different interests for different people, right? So that's where we're at, and if that's not for you, then that's fine. Maybe this isn't the place for you. But questions are welcome, and let's keep talking about what's actually happening with onboarding, what we're fixing, and where this is really going. So I really appreciate this community and the support and the rapid growth. I think most of you recognize that we are really moving mountains here, and we are doing that at a really rapid pace. And I'm so excited to share BROK, the Bankers Revolutionary Operations Keiretsu. That is something. It's a solution for a burning need. There's no doubt about that. All the different brings all the different elements, all the intellectual property, all together. And we're the only one that has this whole stack, and we are capable and able to execute. And that's what we will be focused and continue to focus on doing. So I think that is all I have for you tonight. And with that, so I'm gonna give you back a little bit extra time tonight, and I'm gonna get back to work. Live long and prosper.